A shrill explosion shatters the fragile silence over a city swallowed by smoke and ruin. Amidst the rubble of shattered buildings, a young woman clings desperately to her violin, the wood cracked but still whole. Elena's fingers tremble as she raises the bow, fighting the chaos for a moment of fragile beauty. Around her, the war's devastation is absolute: shells of burnt-out cars, the stench of smoke mixing with wet mud, a crackling radio broadcasting fragmented news in the background. Today, the city will witness something impossible: music breathing through the silence of destruction. This is no ordinary violinist. Elena is a symbol of defiance, a musician caught in the heart of a war that threatens to erase everything she holds dear. Her story begins in 1942, a time of relentless bombing raids and desperate displacement across Eastern Europe. The city she calls home, once vibrant with culture and hope, now lies in ruins, its streets fragmented by shell craters and memories of a life shattered. The cold mud seeps through Elena's thin shoes as she moves carefully between wreckage, clutching her violin close. The sharp, metallic scent of diesel mingles with the acrid odor of burning wood. Around her, the distant drone of aircraft engines is constant, a menacing lullaby to a community that has learned to endure the unendurable. As darkness falls, the silence after a bombing raid is deafening, broken only by the cries of those searching for loved ones and the groan of collapsing structures. But it was not always this way. Before the war crept into the city's veins, Elena was a promising student at the conservatory, a gifted violinist whose melodies once lifted the hearts of packed concert halls. Music was life itself. Then came the air raids. The first bomb tore through the quiet of an ordinary afternoon, reducing homes to rubble and scattering families like leaves in a storm. Elena's family was forced into the cold anonymity of refugee camps, their futures uncertain beneath the heavy shadow of occupation. When the bombings intensified, Elena lost her home, her friends, and nearly her will to live. But amid the ashes, she found a battered violin buried beneath the debris of her family's music room. It was more than an instrument, it was a lifeline. Her first notes under the bombed-out sky were hesitant, fragile as a whisper. Yet slowly, they began to stitch the torn fragments of the community back together. In a world bruised by violence and distrust, Elena's music became a secret language of hope. Soldiers on both sides paused in the ruins, captivated by the haunting strains weaving through the air. Civilians clung to her melodies as a reminder that humanity could persist even when everything else fell apart. The struggle to protect that violin was relentless. Soldiers patrolling the streets eyed her suspiciously. Survival meant keeping her art hidden from those who might see it as futile or a threat. One night, when an artillery strike echoed close, Elena shielded the instrument with her body, refusing to surrender the music to the silence of death. As the ground shook beneath her, her resolve hardened, a quiet rebellion against the destruction that sought to snuff out the light. But the greatest test came when Elena was forced to flee through a maze of ruined buildings with nothing but her violin and an unyielding will to survive. The sounds of pursuit, footsteps, shouted orders, the crackle of gunfire were a grim accompaniment. Every step was a gamble, every breath a prayer. At the breaking point, cornered in a crumbling church where echoes of long-forgotten hymns mingled with the distant thunder of war, Elena lifted her violin and played. Not a lament, but a fierce, soaring melody that challenged the violence around her. The story goes that even hardened soldiers lowered their weapons, entranced by the music's power to transcend fear and hatred. This moment, captured in clandestine photographs and survivor testimonies, reveals a truth often absent from history's harsh ledger. Amid war's devastation, art can forge fragile bridges between enemies, rekindle hope, and kindle the human spirit. Yet the reality was grim. Elena's music could not stop the bombs from falling, nor the lives lost in waves of betrayal and cruelty. Her hometown was razed, and the scars of war would last for generations. After the fighting ceased, Elena vanished from public view, her violin silenced but never forgot. It was only decades later, with the release of declassified footage and personal archives, that Elena's story reemerged. Scholars and historians have pieced together her secret impact not on battle strategies or political outcomes, but on the hearts of those who lived through the nightmare. Her music became a beacon of resilience, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit even in its darkest hours. Today, Elena's violin is preserved in a museum, It's scratched wood and worn strings whispering stories of